بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على الأفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we're continuing the book من أجل التوحيد from Sheikh Mahmoud Lutfi Amr, Egyptian scholar. He was my teacher in Egypt for many years, and we're continuing with the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and how he gave dawah, because it's very important to us to understand how the Anbiya approach particular situations that we may be facing today. Today we're living underneath what we're living underneath. Obviously, people are complaining about the president of America and speaking ill of Trump and yada, yada, yada. You have a lot of indigenous black folk, you want to call them, I don't like using the word, but indigenous people who are people of color who are getting involved in this type of thing. And even more dangerous, the Muslims who are just constantly speaking ill of the man. Let's see in the Quran, did the messengers, the prophets and messengers, and they're called to Allah, and they're dealing with people who are worse than the president we have now. People who believe they were gods, people who believe they were deities, people who believed who were what you call Tawheed. Okay, they were told believe they were divine. And how I might have some technical difficulties with my internet connection. Sometimes it may go in and out, so forgive that. But anyway, let's begin. He says, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى, and this is the ayat that Sheikh Mahmoud is going to bring. He's going to bring some stories of Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِنَّهُ كَانَ صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا. And he says, mentioned in the book is Ibrahim alayhi salam. He was, verily he was, صِدِّيقًا نَبِيًّا, a truthful prophet. Are you getting technical difficulty? Did it free up? إذ قال لأبيه يا أبت لما تعبد ما لا يسمع ولا يبصر ولا يغني عنك شيئا. And he says, when he said to his father, oh my father, and look, when he says ya abati, look at the way he addressed his father, who was making idols, who had a high esteem in his nation, who was a person that made the idols. He said ya abati. He didn't just say Abi. He addressed him with honor. But we don't do that when dealing with the kuffar. Oh, they stinking this, these low down mushrikeen, this, that, and the third. We'll say this stuff in public though. And that's how crazy we are. Then he says that why do you worship that cannot hear or see or benefit you in anything? And one of the reasons that you'll find that the messengers like Ibrahim alayhi salam would mention the fact that it doesn't hear, it doesn't see, and it can't benefit you, because hearing and seeing is something even in human beings is seen as a completion. A person who can't hear and see is seen as somebody who's disabled. He's not fully complete in his body. And we even see that as something, oh, this person has a defect. So how can you worship something that doesn't possess those two qualities? And you yourself possess them. The human being who possesses hearing and seeing is worshiping a piece of stone or a piece of wood that does not hear or see. So that makes you more complete and better than that thing that you're praying to. This is because shirk destroys the intellect of a human being. Ya abati inni qad ja'ani min al-ilmi ma lam ya'tika fattabi'ni ahdika. And he says, oh my father. He says, وَقَدْ جَاءَنِي مِنَ الْعِلْمِ. Verily knowledge has come to me about Allah. Inna shaytana kana lirrahmani asiyya. And he says, oh, do not worship shaitan. And a lot of the tafsir, like Sheikh Muqsim Maluk Hafizullah, he brought out, he said, when he says la ta'budu shaitan, he's saying that all the idols that people are praying to, all the cross, the sun, the moon, all these different things that people are making with their own hands and praying to, in fact, it is shaitan. He says, la ta'budu shaitan. His father wasn't praying. They were praying to idols. They was not praying to shaitan directly. They were praying to idols. So this shows that Ibrahim alayhi salam was directing his father to who was the one calling him to these idols and having him make pictures or make things that shaitan himself were being worshipped through these things. Okay. Inna shaytana kana lirrahmani asiyya. Verily shaitan is most rebellious to the most gracious. يا أبت إني أخاف أن يمسك عذاب من الرحمن فتكون للشيطان وليا. And he says, oh my father, I am afraid that you will be touched by a severe torment from the most gracious, فتكون, and you will be with a friend to the shaitan, a get along, a homie with the shaitan. And wali is something that's intimate, not just saying sadiq. It's something intimate, you know, that you're going to be an intimate friend with the shaitan, right? قال أراغب أنت عن آليتي يا إبراهيم. And he said, his father said to him, he said, أراغب أنت, do you desire to disbelieve in my gods, ya Ibrahim? He says, لئن لم تنتهي لأرجمنك وَاهْجُرْنِي مَلِيًّا. He says, if you don't stop from this, then no doubt about it, I will have you stoned, or will stone you myself. Then get away from me, far away from me. This is the response of his father, right? Now look at how he addresses his father after this, all right? قال سلام عليك. قال سلام عليك. Right? He didn't give up on his father. He gave his father the salams. May peace be upon you. So astaghfiru laka rabbi. And I will ask my Lord to forgive you. Innahu kana bi hafiyya. He said, and my Lord, verily he is me, kind, generous. Tad'una min dunillah. Wad'u rabbi asa, that I will isolate myself from all of you and what you are calling upon other than Allah. He said, I call upon my Lord that I will not be someone who is miserable in my dua, that my dua is for nothing. Now, the next ayah, look at the word that Allah uses in the next ayah to replace dua. He replaces it with the word ibadah, showing that they're interchangeable. Okay? And one of the things we have to understand about ibadah and dua, that they're interchangeable. The Prophet ﷺ said, a dua huwa ibadah. The Prophet ﷺ said, dua, supplication is worship. So supplication, and the reason they're interchangeable is because every single act of worship that we can think of in its core has supplication, because the only reason you're doing it is to seek a benefit and remove a harm and to get pleasure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not to be angry with you. So it's always seeking something. Every time you do an act of worship, you're seeking something, whether you're doing with an action or with your tongue or with your heart. Those three things together are supplication, and you're seeking something from the thing you're worshiping, right? Just a side note. So Ibrahim, so Allah says about Ibrahim, he says, فَلَمَّا اعْتَزِلُهُمْ, when he isolated himself and left them, وَمَا يَعْبُدُونَ, and what they were. See the word ibadah here, not dua. They're interchangeable. مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَهَبَنَا لَهُ. And when he did that, we gave him Ishaq wa Yaqub. We gave him Ishaq, Isaac they call him, and Yaqub, Jacob. وَكُلًّا جَعَلْنَا نَبِيًّا, and we made all of them prophets. Just the benefit of Tawheed. When he obeyed his Lord and stayed away from shirk, look what Allah gave him. His whole bloodline, lineage, was that of prophets. You know what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah. If Sheikh Yasin, if you want Sheikh Yasin, inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to try to get with you after I'm done the class, Sheikh. Got some things I want to ask you about. Then he says, وَهَبَنَا لَهُمْ مِنْ رَحْمَتِنَا وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ عَلِيًّا. And he says, and we gave for them from our mercy, right? And we gave them to him from our mercy. وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ, and we made them always remembered, as truthful people in a good manner to the alameen. You can't go nowhere. You can't go anywhere with Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub, to the Muslims, to the Jews, to the Christians, that these people are remembered in high esteem. That's the promise that Allah made to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. And he believed that he was a god, this Nimrod. He believed he was a god. Okay? It says, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى أَلَمْ تَرَ إِلَى الَّذِي حَاجَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ فِي رَبِّهِ أَنْ أَتَاهُ اللَّهُ مُلْكٍ. And he says, have you not heard the story of the one who argued and debated with Ibrahim about his Lord, that Allah had given him dominion? Allah had given Nimrud dominion. This shows that Allah cares nothing about this dunya. Because if he did, he wouldn't have gave it to such a criminal as Nimrod. Allah gave Trump the mulk. He gave people worse than Trump the mulk. Firaun, Nimrud, gave him the mulk. Trump, they're not saying worship him. He don't believe he's divine. I'm trying to get people to think about this. What is the usul foundation? What is the argument, the debate, the conversation we should be having with those in authority? Is it politics or is it Tawheed? And this is what we got to realize. So he says, إِذْ قَالَ لِإِبْرَاهِيمَ رَبِّيَ الَّذِي يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ قَالَ أَنَا أُحْيِي وَأُمِيتُ. Now, and when Ibrahim said, my Lord gives life and death. And Nimrud said back, I give life and death. Now, a lot of times I didn't used to understand this because it used to confuse me. I was like, well, I can't walk up to somebody and blow their brains out. You know, I can kill somebody and somebody else can kill somebody. I mean, you literally can go to somebody and stab them to death. So I used to be like, well, how is Nimrud wrong in this? I can bring two people up and I can say, okay, he's going to live and he's going to die if I was a king or a ruler. But see, that's not what the argument was about. The argument was about, who decrees and how can people die? For example, if Allah decreed for someone to kill somebody and Allah decreed for that person not to die, I don't care if you shot him in the head. They're going to live. We're talking about the asbab. We're talking about the means of killing people. For example, someone get shot up. I'm only saying that because that's the environment I grew up in. Somebody gets shot up and they're dying on the ground. Okay. Does Allah can decree for this person not to die? And then the ambulance come, they get the machine and shock his chest. They put the mask on him so he can breathe, rush him to the hospital. They take the bullets out of him. You understand? You understand? The only way to save somebody is to use all of these created means and all these created abilities. But if Allah one can make anybody drop dead, you have to do all of the precursor steps to taking somebody's life. First of all, you have to have the ability to do it. Why don't the person fight you off? Why don't they see you coming? You see what I mean? A person can stop you bringing them death. They can reply and then bring you death. A person can kill you. But if Allah wants somebody to leave this earth, you can be in the highest mountain inside of a cave. Okay, heart attack. You can stop breathing. You can get sick. This is what Ibrahim tried to show Nimrud, that he couldn't see that. Okay, we're talking about divine intervention, bring about somebody's death. Okay, without any means at all. Okay, walking down the street, a car comes, hits you. Walking down the street, you have a heart attack. You get old age, you get sick. These are ways that the human being has no control over. And this is what Nimrud couldn't understand. And that even him choosing a person to live and a person to die, that still was Allah's decree. He still was in a ball of Allah's decree that he couldn't go out of. Allah decreed for that person he killed to die, and the one he's let survive, live. Okay? So he says, Qala Ibrahimu fa inna Allah ya'ti bi-shamsi min al-mashriq. Ibrahim said to him, verily Allah will bring the sun from the east. Right? If Allah brings the sun up from the east, fa'ti biha min al-maghrib. If Allah rises the sun from the east, I want you to now rise it from the west. See, he couldn't argue that point because that's a divine act that no one can share with Allah. Okay? You can argue, well, I can kill somebody. You can't do it like Allah can do it, but you can share in that name. You can share in that act as far as it being an act. You can't share in the how of the act. But rising the sun from a direction, no one can share in that act whatsoever. That is uniquely divine act. It's unique. Because no matter what machines you come with, no matter what you come up with, you cannot make the sun now change directions. You can't. So we see that Ibrahim, then he says, for الَّذِي كَفَرَ, and the one who was the Nimrud was done. He was baffled. وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ, and Allah does not guide the oppressor. Now listen to this. Now this is my point of this conversation. Nimrud was the ruler of Mesopotamia. Not just that, his kingdom spread all over the place. He had mulk. Allah mentioned mulk in this ayat. Now, why wasn't Ibrahim's conversation with him about how he was ruling? How he was oppressing the people? He had him. He had an audience with him. And Ibrahim did not even bring up the way he was ruling. The only reason I know it was Nimrud is through history. That's it. That's the only way we know, because of history. Allah didn't even mention the name of Nimrud. He didn't mention what government that he was ruling by. What's the system that he had? Enough. Why are we finding this so important when Allah did not find it important enough to even mention the political system in Wahi? This was Wahi. Allah didn't mention the political system. Why didn't he? Because this wasn't the point. It was not the point. So this is the refutation of those who say that politics and ruling by Sharia and all this stuff is from the asl of the religion. How? When not one messenger made it part of their call. Not one messenger made this a part of their call. Now, he says, وَهَا هُوَ الْحَوَارِ قَائِمْ بَيْنَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَأَبِيهِ يَدُورُ كُلُّ حَوَلَ إِثْبَاتُ أُلُوهِيَّةِ لِلَّهِ حَقٍّ وَنَفِيهَا عَنْ كُلِّ مَا سَوَى اللَّهِ بل لما واجه إبراهيم ملك متجبر أي واجه من يحكم فيهم كانت مناقشة بين إبراهيم وبين هذا الطاغية. And he says, so this is, what is it that was the conversation between Ibrahim and his father? All of it went around who is it that possessed divinity and deserved worship. The whole conversation. When we go through the ayats, the whole conversation between Ibrahim and his father was a political individual. He made the idols. He had political standing in the society. His son did not once listen to his father. Stop ruling by what you're ruling by. Not saying it was permissible what he was ruling by. I'm saying if it was from shirk, and if it was from Tawheed, if it was from shirk, and it was him worshiping this particular political system, why didn't his son call him from it? That means his son Ibrahim let his father, did not advise his father to leave all types of shirk. I mean, he failed his father in da'wah. Plain and simple. You got to be saying that. You have to. Because his son never mentioned. Greater than that, Allah didn't mention the system. Allah didn't mention it. So why are we trying to make this? Why? Why are we making the argument with Trump so important? Leaders come and go. But Tawheed is going to remain. The call to Tawheed is going to remain. Okay? So he says, so the argument between him and his father was Ibrahim was to negate from anyone other than Allah divinity. And when Ibrahim went to the king who was Nimrud, or Nimrod in English, this person who said he was Allah, this person believed he was a Baal, the bull god that they end up making was Nimrud. They said it was Nimrod coming back. He took the form of this bull after his death. So they believed that he was a god, and they still worship him today, called Baal. And some historians and some Mufassirin say that the calf that the Bani Israel ended up worshiping was that bull. So Nimrud is still being worshipped today. From secret societies and stuff like, they still worshiping Nimrud today in the form of a bull till this day. And we have ayats in there where Elias, who went to a people that were worshiping what? Baal. Okay, so this ain't, they still worshiping this man today in the shape of the bull. And we know that he was ruling by something, because you can't be a king or a ruler without having a political system. But we don't know what that political system was. The Lord of the Worlds did not find it important enough to mention it. Rome was ruling by democracy at this time in the 5th century, before the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. Where's the mention of it? Persia was another mighty nation. Allah didn't mention their political system. I mean, it's just common sense. So what was the argument between Ibrahim and this Tawheed? because he was a Tawheed. He clearly said I was a God. He was a Tawheed. كانت مناقش التي قصاها علينا القرآن تدور حول إثبات ربوبية وبالتالي إثبات ألوهية. Now, the whole time they're talking, the story in the Quran gives us that the argument was two things: Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah. It had to be Uluhiyyah because Rububiyyah leads to that. For example, when he said, who gives life and death? That's Rububiyyah, because Rububiyyah in essence means to make Allah one, or to unify Allah, to make him singular or unique in his actions. That's really what it means. That you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unique in the actions that he does. Okay, and once you establish the fact that, once you understand that and you see that, then from that on, he has to be the only one deserving of worship. This is how Rububiyyah leads to affirming Uluhiyyah, affirming divinity. And when you affirm that divinity, now it comes in what? You have to make Allah unique in what? In his acts of ibadah, in your acts of ibadah towards him. This is why Ubudiyyah comes in, meaning that now your actions of ibadah is for Allah alone. That's where Ubudiyyah comes in at. And the Asm wa Sifat is just now Allah is showing those divine acts. Allah is naming those divine acts. He's naming that divine self. So this is how I was taught Tawheed, and this is how, inshallah, I'm trying to give it to you. So he says, Kama bayyana dhalika ayat min Surah al-Baqarah. Right? The ayat we just read about Ibrahim talking to Nimrud. So now, Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam. Wahaba Musa Kalimur Rahman. Right? He's the one who Allah spoke to, right? Allah spoke to Musa alayhi salam. Qala ta'ala. Hal ataka hadithu Musa. Have not come to you the story of Musa. إذ رأى نارا فقال لأهلهم كثوا إني نست نارا لعلي أتيكم منها بقبس أو أجد على النار هدى. And he says that when he saw a fire, a far off distance, right? He saw a fire, right? Or a light. فقال لأهلهم كثوا. And he told his people to stay back, his family. He said, I'm going to go to this fire. Maybe I'll find some warmth there to bring back to you, something to bring back to keep you warm. Or I will find something of beneficial at this fire. Maybe somebody will be there. I can ask for directions or ask what particular thing is at, right? فَلَمَّا أَتَاهَا نُودِيَ يَا مُوسَى. When he came to this place that he seen the light or the fire at, he was called and it said, "Oh Musa, inni ana rabbuka faqla' na'alayk." He said, "Oh, I am your Lord Musa, take off your sandals. Innaka biwadi al-muqaddas Tuwa." And you are in the valley, the blessed valley of Tuwa, which is in the Egyptian, what's they call it, a peninsula? What's that, Sinai, I think it's called? What is that thing called in English? Sinai? What's that thing called in English? I forgot. In Arabic it's called Sinai, but in English it's called the Sinai Peninsula, I think it is. I think that's what it's called. Excuse me if I'm wrong. And it says, أَنَا اخْتَرْتُكَ فَاسْتَمِعْ لِمَا يُوحَى. He says, I have chosen you, so listen. فَاسْتَمِعْ. Listen closely to what I'm about to reveal to you. Innani ana Allahu la ilaha. Allah says, and establish the salat for my remembrance. Okay? So that shows that the salat shouldn't be just something that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Mechanical or ritualistic. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the salat is for his dhikr, to remind you of Allah. You're basically having a conversation with Allah Azza wa Jal. So it shouldn't just be mechanics. Inna sa'ata atiyatun. He said, verily, the hour is coming. Akadu ukhfiha. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it means, meaning that it's hidden from everybody else but Allah. So if Allah, meaning that it's almost not known. The only one who does know it is Allah. That's basically, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Hope I'm saying it right. Kullu nafsin bima tas'a. So that every soul shall work for what it has to do. Because not knowing about Yom Qiyamah, us not knowing it, that means you gotta actually give a hoot by what you do every day, because you don't know when it's gonna be established. Now if we knew when it was coming, we'll just act right. Or get right before it came. You know how we do. We'll get right the week before. Make Toba and everything. Since the serious Toba we ever made. You understand? But we don't know. Okay. So far we're learning what? The da'wah of Musa, Ibrahim, and the rest of them, right? So far we're finding that the Anbiya, the manhaj of the Anbiya was calling to Tawheed, and they went to people who was Tawheed, people were worshiping them, and these particular leaders believed they were divine. That's what made them Tawheed. Nimrod, Fir'aun, huh? And what was the call of these messengers? This should be our call to Trump. Our call to Trump. Not saying that we don't have other calls. Not saying that we shouldn't call for justice for, I'm into calling for justice for my people. No doubt about that. The indigenous, aboriginal, black Americans, I'm all about calling for justice for them. They are being oppressed from the time this European guy until now. So I'm all about justice. But I'm saying that when we're going to these people in positions of power, okay, our call has to be to them. And the beginning of our call and the most important of our call has to be to get them to do the greatest of justice, is to stop committing shirk with their Lord and stop worshiping the creation. Because once they stop worshiping the creation and they get away from the greatest injustice, it's possible for them now to start being just with those they oppressed and those they continue to oppress. And may Allah make it so. I mean, so now we'll call it ta'ala. This is Surah Nazi'ah. So then look at the call. It says, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى. Right? He said, go to Pharaoh. Well, he has transgressed. Man, he transgressed to Trump more than Trump ever has. He said he was Allah. He said, I'm your Lord. He claimed divinity for himself. Now check it out. Check it out. فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ إِلَىٰ أَن تَزَكَّى. He says, فَقُلْ هَلْ لَكَ. He said, do you want? وَهْدِكَ إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ فَتَخْشَى. I'm going to guide you to the ways of your Lord, to Tawheed. So maybe you will have some awe for your Lord. Now, he ain't mentioned nothing about him oppressing people yet. Okay? He hasn't mentioned what, we don't even know what Pharaoh ruled by. Allah didn't even mention what type of government he had. What political system, because he had to have a political system. There's no question to that. He had one. Why isn't Musa dealing with that political system? If it's shirk, that means that messenger, by obligation, had to now call it that and call Pharaoh and them away from it in the very beginning. Because if it was shirk, then Musa alayhi salam had, his job was to call his people away from shirk. I'm just, everybody just think. Right? Now let's check it out. فَأَرَاهُ الْآيَةَ الْكُبْرَى. So he showed them all these different signs. The hand turning white, the snakes, the splitting of the red, all these different things, right? The raining of the frogs, all these things that happened, right, in that story. فَكَذَّبَ وَعَصَى. He denied and disobeyed. He was a renegade, Pharaoh. Pharaoh was a renegade. And guess what? You know, Allah didn't even tell us the name of this Pharaoh. Didn't even tell us his name. ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ يَسْعَى. Then he turned around. He turned away from it instead of yas'a, meaning he strove against Musa. Strove against Musa alayhi salam. Plotted against him. I got a question for anybody want to talk about protesting. Anybody want to talk about if you don't rule by the Sharia, it's shirk and yada, 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 to the end of it, right? Democracy is shirk and yada, yada, to the end of it. Right? Musa alayhi salam was an adopted family member. When he lived amongst Pharaoh and everything, he knew the ins and outs of this political system, of this household. Not one time did Musa alayhi salam bring it up. He didn't bring it up. He didn't expose the behavior of Pharaoh to his people. He did not expose the behavior of Pharaoh that was hidden from the people. He didn't expose it to the masses. He never once called his people or the people of Pharaoh to protest and rebel against Pharaoh. Not one time. How's that from the usle of the religion? Politics. Tell me how. It's not. It's not. So we read these stories of the prophets and we don't benefit from them. Look at this call. Look at this pure call to Tawheed. Check it out. Now, so he says, فَحَشَرَ فَنَادَى. So he gathered all his troops together, all his people together. And he called. He said, I am your Lord Most High. Allah punished him for the first and the last of his statements. Now watch this. The next thing, he says, قال الملأ من قوم فرعون أتذر موسى وقومه ليفسدوا في الأرض ويذرك وآلهتك. And he says, the priest or the ministers around Fir'aun said, are you going to leave Musa and his people? So this goes to show you, right? What it shows is what was the argument had to be? What did the argument have to be? Because his ministers only mentioned, are you going to leave them to do corruption and leave the gods? Because this was the argument that Musa was having. This is the debate that Musa alayhi salam was having with Fir'aun. Fir'aun wasn't scared about losing his kingdom at this point. Because Musa alayhi salam wasn't even talking about taking his kingdom. He was talking about letting free body Israel. So we can go. Let him go so we can roll. So Fir'aun knew that Musa didn't want power. So he says, قال سنقاتل أبناءهم ونستحيي نساءهم وإن فوقهم قاهرون. And he says, so we're going to slaughter his sons, slaughter the sons and the males, and take captive and slaves the women, and then you will be powerful over them. See, this is the divide and conquer thing, you know what I mean? Same thing they're doing, same thing the Pilgrims doing to the black Americans here, same thing. Same thing. See, oppression doesn't change. Evil don't change. They just pass it down the line. Okay? And he says, فَأْتِيَاهُ فَقُولَا إِنَّ رَسُولَ رَبِّكَ فَأَرْسِلْ مَعَنَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ. See, look at that. He says, and when they got to Fir'aun, Harun and Musa alayhim salam, they said, send with us Bani Israel. They wanted to leave. And guess what? Musa alayhi salam was from the family of Fir'aun. Fir'aun's wife, who got a house built for her in Jannah, adopted Musa. Musa was from that family. So he had right to the leadership in the kingdom. But look what Musa does. وَلَا تُعَذِّبْهُمْ قَدْ جِئْنَاكَ بِهُدًى. And he says, do not oppress. He says, we have come with signs from your Lord. So may peace be upon the one who follows guidance. Now, Musa alayhi salam still hasn't mentioned the political system. Still hasn't mentioned what he was ruling by. Still hasn't called people against his rule. Not yet. Still hasn't. Now, check this out. When Musa was being oppressed by his people, what did he tell his people? He said, seek refuge with Allah with patience and salah. He didn't say go make no signs and stand out in the middle of the street and call against Fir'aun. Where you get that from? We don't have no messenger calling to that. Not one. So he says, إن فرعون علا في الأرض وجعل أهلها شيعا يستضعف طائفة منهم يذبح أبناءهم ويستحيي نساءهم إنه كان من المفسدين. So the Qasas, ayat 4. And he says, verily Fir'aun was uppermost in the land. He made himself over everybody in the land. He was an oppressor in the earth. And he made its people different divisions and broke them down. And it was a one weak group, which was Bani Israel, right? He slaughtered their sons and took their women as captives. And he was from those who was upon corruption upon the earth. Okay? Now, listen to this. Now, Sheikh Mahmoud Lutfi, he says, وَحَالَ مُوسَى عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ يُبَيِّن بَلَا شَكْ تَبِيعَ دَعْوَةِ إِلَى اللَّهِ حيث أن موسى وهارون أرسل إلى أعطاء من البشر إلى الطاغية جمع بين الكفر والشرك والظلم والتجبر في الأرض وتعذيب والقتل والأبرياء. ومع ذلك كان حديث النبوي معه فيما قصه القرآن علينا حديث يدور حول إقرار بربوبية الله وألوهيته ونفي ربوبية مزعوم عما سواء وكذلك النفي ألوهية عن كل ما سوى الله إثبات ذلك لله وحده. Then he says, so without a doubt, Musa alayhi salam, you read his story, it explained or may clarify how you're supposed to give da'wah. What's the nature of da'wah, right? That Musa and Harun alayhim salam were sent to the worst human being ever. He was sent to the worst human being ever, right? Who was between kufr and shirk. And he was an oppressor of the highest caliber. And he oppressed the people of the earth. He killed the innocent. He raped, he slaughtered. He pulverized nations. Not one time mentioned any, Trump, this and this, that, and this one did that, and the king of Saudi Arabia did this, the prince did that. To get me on board with that, may Allah forbid, you got to show me one of the greatest men, one of the greatest men that ever existed. The prophets and the messengers were on that dawah. If they wasn't on that dawah, then that dawah isn't religious. That isn't a legend. You can't show me a messenger that was on that dawah. Then that can't be the dawah of Ahlul Sunnah. If you can't show me Adam to Muhammad alayhi salatu salam, that dawah, then that dawah isn't legislated. And that dawah isn't wahi. And I can't follow that dawah. And he says, so the dawah, he says, was what? That Musa alayhi salam was establishing the lordship of Allah, his unique attributes and his unique actions, and establishing that Allah was the only one who was divine. And he was negating the false rububiyyah from anyone other than him, and also divinity on anyone other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that he affirmed it only for Allah. This was the dawah that Musa was going to Pharaoh. And the proof that Musa was explaining the Aqidah to Pharaoh, Pharaoh said, build me a lofty tower so I may see the ilah of Musa. That shows that Musa was explaining Tawheed to him. The fact that Pharaoh said, build me a tower so I can look up to the ilah of Musa was showing that Musa was explaining our Aqidah to him. Where's the political call? Where's it at? So he says, check this out. The next ayat, he says, now, when they got away from Pharaoh, right? He says, وَلَمَّا رَجَعَ مُوسَى إِلَى قَوْمِهِ. That's after he was drowned. Pharaoh was drowned and everything like that, right? And they got across the sea, right? Oh, this was before they got across the sea, right? Or was it? I think they got across the sea. I think it was it River Jordan they got across? I got to look up that part of the history, but it says, لَمَّا رَجَعَ مُوسَى إِلَى قَوْمِهِ غَضْبَانَ عَسِفًا. When Musa returned to his people, he was angry to the utmost degree. قَالَ بِئْسَ مَا خَلَفْتُمُونِي مِنْ بَعْدِي أَجَلْتُمْ أَمْرَ رَبِّكُمْ أَلْقَى الْأَلْوَاحَ. Now, أَخَذَ بِرَأْسِ أَخِيهِ يَجِرُّهُ إِلَيْهِ فقال ابن أمة إن قوم استضعفوني وكادوا يقتلونني فلا تشمت بي الأعداء ولا تجعلني مع القوم الظالمين. Now he says, Musa was angry. He said, this is what you do after I left? My absence? This what y'all do? Because they were worshiping the calf at this time. Whole history shows that this was what people made after Nimrud died. They made this image of him as a bull. Okay? The command of your Lord. He says, and he grabbed from the hair or the beard of his brother. And Harun alayhi salam said, and this also shows what we get benefit from this. Remember, Sheikh Muqsim Maluk gave me a nice benefit. Hafizullah. He said this shows that sometimes just because somebody's older doesn't mean they should be in leadership, or that they should be the ones that are more knowledgeable, or the ones that get put in positions because of their age. Because Harun was older than Musa. He was older than Musa. But Musa, Allah gave him the fadl, the virtue over him because of knowledge. Okay? And they both was messengers. They both were messengers. Now, and he says, oh, the son of my mother, inna qawma, our people have overtook me. They basically about to put their paws on Harun. I'm only saying that this is how we talk. They about to put their paws on Harun alayhi salam. Okay, that's what it was coming to. Okay, and they was about to kill me, man. So don't, he basically didn't want to get put with them. Don't make me from those oppressive people. And this goes to show you that also from this story we get, because Harun made a decision. He said, well, I'm not going to speak up, because if I do, it's going to split Bani Israel. It's going to be two divisions, factions fighting each other. This goes to show you that we don't stop giving dawah because separation happens. That's what Tawheed does. Okay? I'm going to tell the truth. I don't care who don't like it. People say, oh man, you shouldn't talk about our indigenous history and stuff like that. Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Oh, I'm gonna tell people that we were already here. I'm gonna tell people that, and I'm gonna show my evidence for it. I don't care who don't like it. Okay, because you want to split, it don't matter. And even more than that, I'm gonna call it Tawheed, and I don't care who don't like it. I'm gonna, inshallah, tell people to practice the Sunnah. It doesn't matter who doesn't like it. This kills the whole ideology of the Ikhwan. That let's just agree on stuff that we all just agree on and be friends. Whatever we disagree, let's throw it in the back room. Blah. And Allah brought the reality and explain. When Musa threw down the tablets, let's ask ourselves, what were in these tablets? Laws. The political system of Bani Israel. The laws were in there. Musa alayhi salam separated those laws from Aqidah, from Tawheed. How? He threw them on the ground. Listen. Qultu, Sheikh Mahmoud says, لماذا لم يعتب الله على موسى بإلقائه الواحد? Why didn't Allah sanction Musa for throwing the commandments on the ground? Didn't Allah sanction him? Allah is Allah. He corrected the Prophet ﷺ in Surah Abuesa right away. When he turned away from the blind man, Allah corrected him right away with wahi. He would have did that for Musa alayhi salam, kalimahu. If it was wrong to throw those things down and to deal with that later, because he's seen shirk happening. If Hakamiyya and people saying that politics and legislation is from the usl of the deen, Musa misunderstood the deen then, according to them. Because Musa threw them laws on the ground and went and fixed that shirk and that Tawheed. He went over there and got the Aqidah straight. Because he understood that following legislation, implementing the legislation of Allah was a wajibat, was an obligation of Tawheed, that it wasn't Tawheed itself. He understood that. This is our Aqidah. This is our manhaj. This is what we believe. Wallahi, by Allah. Because Musa understood that fact. Check it out. He says, حيث من معروف أن الألواح فيها حكم الله من تشريعات وغيرها من أمور العقائد والتي هي أهم هل إلقاء ألواح يستلزم منه كفرا. Now listen to this. He says, without a shadow of a doubt, we know that inside those alwah, those things that Musa threw down, those commandments, were the tashri'at, and other than that, from different issues, of Aqidah issues or whatever that may be in those things. We know it was a tashri'at. It was politics, political system of the Bani Israel, what they was going to rule by. All right, and other important issues. So the throwing of the stones on the ground, the throwing of the commandments on the ground by Musa alayhi salam, did that now mean that now he committed kufr? To go fix Aqidah, to go deal with another more important issue, or he was forced to leave it alone for a second to go deal with something else? How about today, where leaders don't even have scholars around them? They were ex-farmers or military men, probably never even read a hadith, never read the Quran, probably never. Just corrupt people, regular old ignorant old people that 30 years ago, before they was the president, they was riding around, probably smoking real. You know what I'm saying? So, no. He said, and al-amr yarju' ila al-aslihi ila al-mu'taqid, wal-mu'taqid yaqini. He says, or does it go back to the asl, the foundation of the individual? That the individual is a believer, even if he left off some legislation, even if he didn't cut the hand of the thief, even if he left off beating the and he said no, and he ruled by English common law and the Sharia laws are only for family and family court, and he leaves off the criminal court part of the Sharia. Does that now mean this person has left Islam? Huh? Like Sheikh Uthaymeen, he brings, when Allah mentions the Khawarij and other than that, they use one ayat. That whoever doesn't rule by what other than Allah revealed, humul kafirun, they are the disbelievers. Even though disbelief is levels. There's minor kufr and major kufr. And Ibn Abbas and Imam Ahmed explain those ayats. Kufr amali, kufr i'tiqadi, all the way to the end of it. But the fact that there's another ayat that says they are the oppressors. Those who don't rule by what Allah revealed, they are the oppressors. Those who don't rule by what Allah revealed, they are the wrongdoers. Right? Or the fasiqun, the rebellious people. The fact that Allah mentions 3 types, and each one of those types have levels to it. It goes to show you that there are levels to leaving off Sharia. It has to be a mu'taqid, i'tiqad behind it. Like I told you before, a person can do an act, both do a sin. One leaves Islam, one doesn't. We got that from the story of Iblis. Adam did a sin, disobeyed the law. Iblis did one. One left Islam, one didn't. Based upon what? The belief. You got to go back to that. Belief brings you into Islam. Belief takes you out of it. Actions alone do not remove a person from Islam. So this is why I'm saying, this is why our manhaj and our aqidah is politics and tashri'at are not from the asl of Islam. They are the lawazim, the wajibat of Tawheed, meaning Tawheed makes these things obligatory for now you to implement. But they are not Tawheed by themselves. Because if they were, disbelieving presidents could rule by Sharia and become Muslim. I make Hajj and never take Shahada. But if he did all those things, he would become Muslim. So he says, وَمُوسَى عَلَى بَيِّنَ مِنْ رَبِّهِ مُعْعَدًا إِيَّاهُ فِي ذَاتِهِ فِي تَشْرِيعَتِهِ. And Allah and Musa alayhi salatu salam understood that the Sharia was important. You don't think Musa, he spent 40 days and nights up there on the mountain. You don't think he understood the importance of what was being given to him? Think about that. So much so he asked the Lord to see him, and the Lord showed him. He fell. And the mountain crumbled. And Musa fell out on the ground. You don't think Musa understood the importance of what he was bringing back down in his hand? He still threw it on the ground. Huh? Because no matter what that was, it still wasn't more important than Tawheed. That shows that story shows us that Tawheed and the Tashri'at are not the same thing. One is an obligation of the other. Not that. So, and he says, لا يحكم على إقال الوا بأي حكم فيه تنقص في موسى. And we don't find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving any ruling upon Musa in decreasement of who Musa was because of him throwing the urwa. We don't find it. So how can the tashri'at and things like that be from the asl of the religion? Huh? How can they be Tawheed? And when the tashri'at change for every messenger. So you saying the asl changes? The asl of a tree, the roots of a tree change, huh? Every season and the roots get out the ground and go to another tree and another roots come in. La wallah. La wallah. So he says, ورغم أن ظاهر الإلقاء فيه مذمة وهذه مذمة سقطت ليقين قلبي الذي في قلب موسى. He said, no doubt, throwing of the out of anger, being upset or whatever, throwing the commandments on the ground and stuff like that. We're not saying that's the best thing to do. Nobody's saying leave the Sharia is good. And Musa didn't even leave the Sharia. But I'm saying nobody's saying don't rule by Sharia. Well, Allah is an obligation to rule by it. The point is that because somebody's heart is still firm with faith, we have this manhaj in our religion. That somebody punishing you, somebody's forcing you to say you don't believe in Allah, but as long as your heart still is content that Allah is your Lord and the Prophet is the messenger of Allah, that it's permissible to say I don't believe in Allah anymore. So they can stop punishing you. What about these leaders today? What are they going to do? The America telling you better not rule by Sharia, we're going to bomb you. You better not rule by Sharia, we're going to stop, we're going to ask for, we're going to get that loan back we've been giving you. Now we calling that loan, we calling that money back in. That's for a fact. Man, they invaded how many Muslim countries so far? Name me one Muslim country that stood up and went in there to defend the other one. All I'm saying is that we got to be just. So he says, وفي ذلك درس علمي لمن يحنون أمر الشرك بالتصريح في مقابل تضخيمهم للقضية الحكمية تشريع in الموسى. So you got indication درس علمي, okay, for anybody who wants to say that leaving off the Sharia is shirk. It's not shirk. Okay? At the most it can be is major kufr. And every type of major kufr is not shirk. Shirk is always kufr, but kufr is not always shirk. What's the proof? The Prophet ﷺ, he said, fighting a Muslim is kufr. What type of kufr is that? Is that shirk? The Prophet ﷺ said a woman being ungrateful to her husband is kufr. What kind of kufr is that? You understand? We know every shirk is not major shirk too. We know the Prophet ﷺ said minor shirk is riyah. Okay? So we know without a shadow of a doubt that leaving Sharia is not shirk. It's a sin. Just like smoking a cigarette, just like fornicating. It's a sin. It's a major sin, but it's a sin. Okay? And shirk is the greatest of all sins. Okay? So he says here, إن الموسى حينما رأى الشرك في قومه في أوضح صورة لا تحتمل طويلا ألا وهو عبادة العجل وذلك الأقبح أنكر المنكرات وألقى ألواح حيث لا قيمة للألواح في قوم يشركون بالله فهل فقه دعاة هذا المعنى دقيق. Now listen to this. He says, when Musa seen his people committing shirk in the clearest of forms, they were bowing down to a calf that was making moo sounds, right? He didn't take time. He threw them things down as soon as he seen it happening, right? This is the worst of crimes that you can commit. He threw them down. Why did he throw down those legislations? Because he knew it was no benefit in those legislations if the people were making shirk. Musa separated the two things. Musa alayhi salam, he separated the two things. Okay? So, where we at? وهناك موقف آخر رد على أيدي حكينا قال أصحاب موسى إن لمدركون قال كلا إن معي ربي سيهدين. And he says when Musa saw the two groups getting closer together, right? The people that were with Musa said, man, they're gonna get us. They on our heels, right? قال كلا. Musa said, by no means. إن معي ربي سيهدين. Right? So he said, so he said, كلا إن معي ربي سيهدين. He said, but by no means that my Lord will guide us. So my Lord won't leave us stranded, right? فأوحينا إلى موسى. So we revealed to Musa alayhi salam, أن يضرب بعصاك البحر, to touch the sea with your staff. فانفلق فكان كل فرق كالطود العظيم. And the sea opened up the 12 different paths as big mountains on each side, right? And this way they can walk through. وأزلفنا ثم الآخرين. And he said he closed it upon the other people, meaning when Pharaoh tried to come through, Allah dropped the ocean down on them and drowned them. فَأَجَيْنَا مُوسَى وَمَن مَّعَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa and those with him, all of them together. ثُمَّ أَرَقَنَا الْآخِرِينَ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala drowned the others. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لِآيَةً وَمَا كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. And this is a sign. And most of them were not believers. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَهُوَ عَزِيزٌ الرَّحِيمٌ. And verily your Lord is the powerful, the merciful, right? So, جوزنا بني إسرائيل البحر فأتوا على قوم يعكفون على أصنام لهم قالوا يا موسى اجعل لنا إلها كما لهم آلهة قال إنكم قوم تجهلون. So when they got across the river, now check this out, just saves you from Pharaoh. These jokers got on the other side and seen people sitting on their idol and worshiping other than Allah Azza wa Jal, right? They're going to ask Musa. They just seen what Allah did for them, right? Allah done held up the mountains over these people and everything, right? They said, make for us a God like they have one. Musa said, you are ignorant people. Surah Al-A'raf. فلماذا لم يعود موسى إلى مصر بعد أن نجاه الله من فرعون إغراقه وإغراق جنده؟ فلو كانت قضية للحكم رئاسة هي غاية من دعوة الأنبياء للعادة موسى إلى عرش فرعون الحاكمية السياسية. Now, the Sheikh Mahmoud Lutfi is asking. He says, why didn't Musa go back to Egypt after Allah saved him and his people from Fir'aun and drowned Fir'aun in his face? Remember, right? Musa was from the household of Fir'aun. He was the next in line for leaders to claim the throne. If it was about ruling and politics, that was the usul, that was the foundation of this deen, then why didn't Musa turn around and go back? Why didn't Musa turn around and go back? Why? Why didn't Musa turn around and go back? Because that wasn't the point. Okay, that wasn't the point. Do not these people who call to this legislation is democracy is a god and legislation this, legislation that, do you saying you know more about the deen than the Anbiya? You got more understanding of the deen than they do? Well, how come Musa and the Anbiya called these rulers are ruling by gods and they were worshiping these legislations? These legislations were being ran by people more oppressive than anybody running democracy today. So now democracy is a god, and people who practice it is worshiping it. So it has to be a new shirk then. So why we don't have a new messenger? Because those Anbiya that I just brought up, and I'm not done. I'm be done tonight. But there's other stories I'm gonna bring with the Anbiya. Yusuf alayhi salam. How come he didn't call his people from what they were practicing? From politics. If it was a god, it should have been included in the idols. It should have been included to his refutation of their aqidah. So that's where I'm going to stop tonight. And the next story is going to be the story of Isa, alayhi salam, then Yusuf, alayhi salam, then the story of Muhammad, alayhi salatu salam, to conclude this issue of the call the Anbiya was calling from shirk. And the legislation of their people was not included in that shirk they were calling from. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have mercy on all of us. And inshallah ta'ala for all those who, if I said something wrong, it's from shaitan and myself. Whatever I said correct was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah forgive me. Okay? If I'm a little bit too emotional sometimes, but I get emotional about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of people running roughshod on our deen, man. And we're not understanding our own deen. We get institutionalized in our understanding of religion. And we take religion from one place on the planet. One region of the planet, like this scholarship on the earth. And this is not good. This is not good. This has made us tunnel vision. We depend on terminologies for the understanding of the religion. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us better than that. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.